The world has always joked that death once had a near Chuck Norris experience. For decades, we built a digital monument to his invincibility, convinced that the man who played Cordell Walker was truly made of iron. But on March 19, 2026, the legend of the indestructible warrior met a quiet, somber reality. Chuck Norris passed away at the age of 86, and while the internet initially reacted with disbelief, the details emerging from his final days tell a story that is far more heartbreaking than any movie script. When we look at the autopsy of his final years, not just the clinical findings, but the emotional and physical toll he endured, we discover a side of Chuck that he fought desperately to keep hidden from the spotlight. The suspense began in the weeks leading up to his passing. On his 86th birthday, a video surfaced of Chuck training in the Hawaii sun, looking as sharp as ever. But those close to him knew the truth. It was a masterclass in performance. Behind that iconic smile, Chuck was privately navigating the devastating physical fallout of a life lived at maximum intensity. Decades of high-impact martial arts and performing his own stunts had left his body a roadmap of old injuries and chronic pain. Yet, the sad details aren't just about physical decline. The real weight Chuck carried was the emotional exhaustion of being a full-time caregiver for his wife, Gina. He had famously walked away from Hollywood years ago to protect her during her own medical crisis, and the sheer toll of that long-term battle had quietly drained the man the world thought was tireless. As the final reports began to circulate, a picture emerged of a man who was facing his mortality with a quiet, lonely dignity. He wasn't a superhuman from the memes. He was an 86-year-old man who had given everything to his family and his craft. The shock of his passing stems from a curiosity gap. How could the man who squeezed orange juice out of a lemon actually succumb to the march of time? The truth is that Chuck had been preparing for this transition for a long time. He had been quietly setting his affairs in order, ensuring his Kickstart Kids foundation would survive him, and making sure his family was shielded from the media circus. He was fighting a battle against time, and he knew it was one he couldn't win with a roundhouse kick. Ultimately, the revelation of his passing reminds us of the fragility behind the fame. The sadness doesn't come from the fact that he was mortal, but from the realization of how much he sacrificed in silence while we were all busy laughing at his legends. Chuck Norris didn't leave us because he lost his strength. He left because his mission was complete. He proved that the ultimate act of a warrior isn't being invincible, it's being vulnerable enough to love, disciplined enough to serve, and brave enough to face the end with grace. As the curtain falls on this American icon, we are left with a legacy that transcends the jokes. The legend is eternal, but the man was human, and that is the most profound truth of all.